5.
Okay.
I need so I can get the something right. You start. I will just.
Hello. So I'm Cathy and this is Dave, as you probably know, and welcome to our hobby hangout, which is a thing that we're doing now. What we're planning to do is just both do a little bit of crafty stuff and have a bit of a chat about some things, which we decided to do because at the moment, during lockdown, we're kind of both working from home, which I know is, you know, in many ways fortunate for us, but it means we're sort of having the same day, really, aren't we? So a lot of the time. And so yeah, we thought it might be good to actually do something where we set aside some time to do some stuff and talk about some stuff. And yes, it's probably also good to remember how to behave as if people are watching, because it's just been us in the house.
I mean, no one is watching right now, but
well, there we go.
You know.
We can pretend it's good practice in the same way that, you know, when our son can finally go on the bus again, I'm going to have to drill him in how that works. Yeah, it's probably good to remember how to, you know, be around people that aren't just our family. But yes, so yeah,
we're professional.
Yeah.
Cathy has notes. She's professional. I just wing it.
Well, yeah. Also, it's good to do something I think a bit structured, because I think we will get well. I've been finding a lot of unstructured time does not work for me, and made me feel not great because you can't go and do anything. So yeah, just have a bit of a structure for things.
If you've ever seen one of my live streams for story time, not that many of you might be, you'll know exactly how organised I am.
Okay.
I'm very organised, honest.
Sure.
So, what's next on the...
Right, well, should we just talk about what we're actually making? Yes.
You want to go first?
Okay. So, I will be sewing this, which is a swan. Although it doesn't have its... Well, I have the beak, I'm not sewing that, I'm just doing the body of the swan today. And this is part of a 12 Days of Christmas thing that I've been working on for a bit under 2 years now. So when we first moved into this house in summer 2018, sort of thought it might be nice to sew some Christmas decorations. I sort of came up with some ideas, got some fabric, started doing a bit of cutting, but only really actually got around sewing one, which was partridge. And sort of last year I thought, oh no, I'll go a bit further with it, so I cut out some more pieces, and actually did 1 to 6. And so this is the swan for 7 swans to swim. So I'm hoping I can get to 12 this Christmas. Although I found that birds, which makes up the majority of the first 7, are much easier than people, which is the rest of the song. So I'm going to need to give that some thought and stuff. Yeah. But yes, that's what I'll be doing. What will you be doing?
I will be building Chaos Scarab Terminators for Son's kill team. They are stompy power armour with it on the Egyptian theme, because why not? It's Warhammer 40,000, anything goes. So yes, that's what I shall be doing, because everyone loves stompy power armour.
Okay, so should we start with how we're doing?
Okay.
So, well, just going to apologise in case anyone can hear that. Right before we started doing this, our neighbours decided to have a bit of a disagreement, and they're not very quiet folk. So if there's any background noise, it might be that, or it might be their TV, which sometimes is fine, but I think there's a speaker or something right here, so sometimes it's quite loud. Anyway, we'll just do our best to carry on. Yes, so how might we be feeling? I think it's either 100 or 93 days into lockdown and working from home. Or, I don't know, I tried to count and I'm not sure if I lost a week, but Birmingham Museums and Art Gallery said 100 recently, like the other day, and I'm like, well, they'll probably have counted. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, only 100? Has it not been forever? But, yes.
Have we yet spent more of this year in lockdown than we haven't?
Maybe, because it was
23rd.
March 23rd, so that's like 2 months and 23 days, and February's the shortest month. So probably, actually, yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. 2020 years. The thing is, March felt forever, and then April was really quick, and in May I kind of lost track of time for a while there, so I don't really know what that was like, and I feel like maybe June is normal, but maybe I don't remember what normal is anymore. In regards to time, probably many other things, who knows. So yeah, I think we're sort of doing okay.
Yeah. We have our ups and downs, as we do. Everyone does. Yeah. Mainly when Nathaniel decides that he wants to throw a wobbly. That's a point. I didn't bring the screen down.
Okay. Well, it should be fine. Yes.
We're not. It's fine.
One reason we're doing this late is because our son, has to go to bed. But in fairness, he hasn't actually needed either of us to go up and check on him after he's gone to bed for ages now, like even before lockdown, really. So we're lucky. He's a fairly good sleeper. So this is why stuff like this is possible. But yeah, no, I think we're doing okay. I think we sort of came up with a routine early on, and then there's been some changes to that. He switched his nap time to after lunch, which is actually quite a big change when that's one of the main periods that I can work uninterrupted, and then like in the room on my own. And he's probably enjoying it because he's getting a lot of screen time. He's getting a lot of CBBS. He's getting quite a lot of films. I was going to say he's getting a lot of buzz time. But really. He's also getting a lot of parental time, which I think is good. It's tiring sometimes. Yeah. But it's I think it's good. On the other hand, he's not obviously getting any time with other children. So I don't know how feral he might end up being.
Pretty feral.
I think in fairness, I think he's doing very well. I think he's been pretty resilient. He's young. He's preschool age, so he's I think he's been fairly resilient. I've heard of other children having greater problems, which I mean is fair enough, absolutely. And I mean, I suspect maybe going back to things is going to be where the issues kick in, but we'll see how we go.
Oh, good luck. Cross fingers.
Yes. So.
Other than that.
Yeah. Getting on with stuff. Yeah. Did we want to talk about what we're currently reading each?
Yes.
As David works in a library, which again I think a lot of people. Well, the people who might be watching live probably already know that. People who might be watching the recording later,
that will be later.
YouTube, that will be later, but also they won't necessarily sort of stuff after. But yes, David works in a library, so you haven't been able to recommend books to people probably really for a while. So
I don't know.
Now's your chance to use your professional skills.
What do you think I've been doing on Facebook?
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. Well,
anyway, it's not. I have finished this recently. This is. Don't know whether that's going to come out inverted on the video. We'll find out. This is The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan, published by Orbit Books. I'd like to thank Orbit Books for allowing. No, sorry, I was in storytelling mode there.
You don't have to name the publisher when we're just saying this. David has been doing a lot of looking at copyright stuff so they can do children's story sessions. So he's obviously just in the mindset. Gets it inbuilt.
That's. I kind of put it on a Christmas list on a whim.
Was it when I got you or somebody else?
I can't remember. It was a couple of years ago actually.
Oh, okay, sure. We have quite big TBR piles.
So it was on the. So it's been up there for a while, and I can't remember why I put it on my list. Had some good reviews, but that lots of books have good reviews, that sort of thing. I actually picked it up and tried it. I actually really enjoyed it. It's got dragons. It's got kind of given by the cover, but they're not. They're used in a world where they've got magic, but it comes from specially gifted people drinking dragon's blood to give them enhanced abilities. There's a bit of spies, there's a bit of naval stuff. If you like naval stuff, there's a bit of naval stuff in there.
Actual naval or like Temporary naval?
Actual naval.
Oh,
No,
it's
they're not.
actually boats.
No, in this,
Okay.
the dragons are kind of they're hunted. They're not used as.
That makes sense because what you said about the blood thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually quite good. I ended up ordering the sequel before I'd actually finished the first one, so that's reasonably good price. So yeah, I think it's worthwhile. I don't believe the library service has it in stock, the Roman library service, so sorry about that.
Can you not buy it?
I could actually buy it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
You have
whether
the
that's
power.
don't know whether it's an abuse of power or not, but I don't think Anthony Ryan would mind. So
No,
yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look at our SKUs tomorrow. But yeah, worth a read if you like your fantasy. It's I can't. It's difficult to describe the sort of setting. It's not feudal fantasy. It's not steampunk. It feels industrial, but it's not. You know, lots of smoke, and they've got firearms, but it's an interesting setting. It's not doesn't really fall into anything.
Well, that's obviously the theme of our reading.
Yeah, so I have that's what I've recently finished. I haven't really started anything yet, other than reading some comics, but I can go into those another day. What are you currently reading?
Okay, so I'm currently partway through The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. From Orbit.
Oh, we're
I don't know, we're apparently doing this now.
I was going to say, Orbit, if you'd like to, message us, we're happy to.
Okay.
We're happy to shill for.
Are we? Okay. Seems early
I'm happy to shill for you.
Fine. So yeah, The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. I'm not going to describe the plot of this book because it's the third book in the trilogy and it starts right after the second book. So yeah, it's just going to spoiler sort of 2 and a bit whole books. But what I would say, so it's the Broken Earth trilogy, which starts with the 5th season. I almost forgot the name, but the 5th season, which came out quite some while ago. I mean, these have all been out a while, but I read things quite slowly. I don't get a huge amount of time to read nowadays. Yes, all 3 books won the best novel in the Hugo Awards the year they came out. I can't remember if it was.
Yes, it was eventually.
That was it. Yes. So I've forgotten all the words now. I think that's a lockdown thing. I feel like I quite often am forgetting just little things. It's not quite as bad as Baby Brain, but like the similarities. But yeah, so the Broken Earth trilogy, starting with the 5th season. They're very interesting books. So I've read N.K. Jemisin's Inheritance trilogy quite a while ago, which is very like gods and mythological stuff, but very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. I've read one of her other books, I think The Dreaming Moon, which I quite enjoyed. But yes, Broken Earth trilogy, again, it's kind of hard to describe setting-wise. It's not one of your traditional fantasy settings. It's kind of in a place called The Stillness, but that's like an ironic name, but basically where there's a lot of geological activity. And there's volcanoes, earthquakes, and all sorts of things like that. And basically seasons are where something's gone horribly wrong, and everyone has to kind of hunker down while the kind of results of the geological problems happen. So like ash clouds and tidal waves and flood, famine, fire, basically all sorts of disastrous stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah, I mean the first book kind of starts with the world ending. But then as you read, you realise the world sort of ended as were many times before. But all of society is set up around this. So all so settlements are called comms, like sort of short for community. But all comms are kind of set up with like different people for surviving these things because no one ever knows what's going to happen. And then as you read, you realise there's this kind of group of people. So I mean, it's kind of, I'm not sure if it's really industrial. There obviously used to be people who had very advanced tech, and now there's not so much. Which comes into the book story quite a bit, so I won't go into that in more detail. There are people who have powers that can kind of affect geology and the earth and stuff, and they're widely hated and massively sort of oppressed and repressed and often being killed and scapegoated and stuff in society, despite them being so powerful, which is a good whole point the author is making. but yes, it's very interesting. It kind of follows, initially the first book mostly follows the main characters in what they're doing, and then you sort of find out more about the societies. Sort of people move around or exist outside of it for a while, but yeah, it's very well done. I wouldn't say it's industrial because there's still people who like called nappers who I think like make stuff like obsidian knives by napping at the stone, which feels quite old. But then they do obviously have some technology. It's one of these sizes because each community is quite isolated. Well, not isolated. Some of them are quite big, but each community has to be ready to just put up the walls, hunker down, and like be away from everyone else. So I think there's an extent of every place being a little bit of an island. And so I think that wider technology, mass stuff, hasn't really been developed. But I think within some places there's more tech than others. And again, also some places have like ancient stuff that again gets explored more. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing justice. They're very well written. But Jemisin is very good at that sort of thing. She's very good at character and having stuff that's quite brutal but still very readable and not in a gratuitous feeling way. Just this like, this is how this world is. It kind of sucks, but like, you know, people still live there and still find joy as well as sadness and sort of things like that. So yeah, it's they're really good books. I was actually inspired to start reading this one, which I've had on my shelf for a while after having read the previous two, by reading N.K. Jemisin's collection of short stories called How Long Till Black Future Month? Yeah, that's it. Which is, again, a collection of very short stories she's done. And I mean, I hadn't read much of her short stuff before. I'd listened to some on Podcastle at one point and quite liked it. And one of those was actually in the collection, which is Sinners, Saints, Dragons, Haints in the City Under Still Water. And it's basically about Hurricane Katrina hitting New Orleans, and there are dragons there. But yeah, so having read like a collection of various of her short stories in all sorts of different kinds of settings, in sort of fantasy and sci-fi stuff, I was like, actually, no, wait, it's been a while since I've read her. I've forgotten how good her stuff is. I'll read some more, and I have a whole novel. So yeah, so that's what I'm reading at the moment. But I'm interested in how this is going to end. There's some sort of hints, but I'm not quite sure. So and she has surprised me with reading stuff before. So yeah, okay. Should we talk about the thing we said we were going to talk about?
I will also say if anyone has questions,
Right.
anyone wants to comment, anyone wants to say hello, please do so. I've got I can see.
Dave's keeping an eye.
Although you obviously don't have to. Just thought to say that. Yes.
I mean, I suppose if we're going to put this on YouTube later, I guess people could say things there. I don't really know how that works. Obviously, it's a little less interactive, but yeah. That's fine. Anyway, yes, sorry.
Yes, that's fine. Oh, sorry, I was just trying to.
I just got a knot. I was doing too well.
Oh.
Oh no.
Is it okay?
You start. I'll just need to untangle this. This is the problem with doing so.
Do you have the notes? Okay. We are talking about She-Ra, not the 1980s spin-off of He-Man. We are talking about the 2018 reimagining.
It said reboot on.
Yeah, we'll go with reboot. We'll go with reboot. That's
it's based
fine.
on it, I suppose.
Loosely, I think is a.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it, we liked it, and we thought we could talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a whole list of potential topics for the future. We don't want to burn through them too quickly. Anyway, so yes.
So yeah, it's an animated show on Netflix, and it only finished. Was it last month? Or was it April? Because we didn't watch it straight away, did we? It finished recently.
Finished during lockdown.
It finished during lockdown.
I mean, I'm not complaining for as what was lockdown watching. It was pretty good, but
yeah, not that we have a huge amount of time to binge. Because binge so many things. Like, well, no, because I still have a job and a child, and now I'm in the same place as those things all the time. No, I've definitely got a knot here now. Damn. Oh, see, I was going so well, and then I stopped paying attention for a few minutes, and I get a knot.
Okay. But while she had knots there.
Yes. So it's based on this one. Do we know anything about the original? You are older than me, so might have seen it on TV.
No, I think I must have caught bits of it, but it was not one of the shows that I watched as a child. Neither that or He-Man, neither of them. I think they were on the wrong channel, which was the reason for that. If it was on a commercial channel, I generally didn't see it. So yeah, I was a Thundercats, Transformers, Mysterious Cities of Gold.
I remember Thundercats. See, I saw a lot of, because I was watching TV up in the 90s, and I saw a lot of things, people talk about being 80s things, but obviously they just reran them for a while.
But I mean, obviously I was, a child of the 80s, so I had friends who had the toys, and I would have seen bits of it, so I know of it.
Yeah. See, I don't. I do kind of vaguely remember seeing He-Man a bit, maybe like a tiny bit, but presumably it was again a rerun that was on something I watched a little bit. I don't remember. It's a bit vague. I remember seeing some of it, but not much. I didn't really know about She-Ra. I don't think I saw her in the episode. It was a spin-off or something, wasn't it?
It was a separate series.
Were they like cousins or something?
Oh,
She-Ra and He-Man or
yes.
something? Yeah. There's quite a dodgy. I think there's like a Christmas special, and I've seen the front cover of that, and it looks a bit like dodgy.
The whole thing, He-Man and She-Ra are. I mean, it's interesting if on Netflix they have a series called The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
That's really interesting if you are interested in the properties that they talk about, especially the ones that had TV series around them, and the way that came about. I can't remember which one it was, which was basically I think it might have been Transformers. The people basically sat in a pitch meeting, and there was the executives were getting kind of umming and ahhing about whether they actually wanted to take the toy, and basically the person said, "It'll have a cartoon," and that's it. They had to go out and basically they go, "Yeah, okay."
They then needed a cartoon.
They then needed a cartoon. So it's quite interesting. Well worth a watch.
I mean, the My Little Pony one was interesting.
Yeah,
even if toy I had.
Even if you weren't really interested in the toys themselves, the actual how they came about and how how big they were. We forget how huge some of these toys were at the time. So yeah. So both of us really have.
We're fairly ignorant on the 80s one, basically. So this is just going to be about the one from like the last couple of years.
And I don't see that as a necessary problem. I think that they're separate enough that, and I'm certainly not one of these people that are going to go whining about how they destroyed my childhood anyway.
They made a new thing that was based on a thing that I'd already seen and enjoyed, and somehow that made the thing I'd already seen and enjoyed in the past worse somehow.
To be honest, the people that are complaining about that, they really would not have watched the original any time recently, because if they had, they'd have realised how bad it was.
Well, I mean, people can still like that,
I mean, you can still enjoy it.
Stuff, but yeah, you might not want to see a different version of the thing, but okay. Yes, so, sorry, it's very tricky, if I'm doing it right, which it might not be. So the current one is basically about a girl called Adora, or a young woman called Adora, and she is in the Horde. She was an orphan, and she was raised in the Horde, along with her best friend, Catra. Catra, it's kind of obvious from the name. I guess probably inheriting a lot of names from the 80s series does kind of leave you with these issues. Catra has like cat ears, and a tail, and kind of a little bit fluffy, and also constantly ripped trousers. But they fight in the Horde, which is an army which basically is working to wipe out the evil of these powerful and very dangerous magical princesses that live in the world that they live in. So it starts off with them having training with them and their team, and then I think Adora gets promoted, and Cat gets grumpy about that.
Force captain.
That's it. How did they not know from names? Anyway, Catra gets grumpy about that because she is generally very grumpy, and that's a major part of the entire thing. Yeah, the entire thing. Everyone kind of has some issues, but she probably has like the most issues. Adora kind of finds new issues, but and I can't remember the exact sequence, but Adora ends up kind of going out into the kind of dangerous woods outside of the sort of very industrial military looking compound that they live in, and finds a magical sword in the wood. And I can't remember exactly the sequence of events that causes her to do this, but she lifts it up and says, "For the honour of Grayskull," and then she suddenly grows by a foot and has a magical girl transformation with big hair.
I was going to say the hair is amazing.
And then she has powers, and can fight. As part of this, she also meets a teleporting princess called Glimmer, and Glimmer's best friend Bo, who's a very cheerful young man who shoots bows and arrows. Again, I guess the names from the Aces programs, so we've just got to do what we can.
Yeah, you've got to work really well.
It's not going to be subtle. So yeah, and they basically say to her, it's like, but you, like, and so each thinks the other's the baddie, and they're like, no, you guys are the baddie. And she's like, we're not. It's like, why are you called the Evil Horde? She's like, we're not called that. It's like, everyone calls you guys that. And then in the course of events, Aurora realises that actually the people she, you know, has been brought up by and has been fighting for and has been, you know, seeking promotion within this whole kind of, it's not really a community organisation, I guess, has basically been subjugating villages and attacking them and, you know, doing lots of concrete, oppressive, evil stuff. So she kind of...
Defects.
Yeah, that's the word. Defects. And Catra almost comes with her, but then there's something about, like, price and stuff that means she doesn't, and the choice is made, and that sort of, that sort of leads to a big rift. And then Adora gets taken back to Bright Moon, which is where Glimmer, Princess Glimmer lives with her mother, Queen Angela, who is a tall lady with wings. That's where they're kind of planning the resistance against the Horde, except most of the princesses in Eternia, because there are quite a few, aren't actually in on the fight. There's only a handful of them. So it's then sort of like them trying to pull people together to join their cause to fight against the Horde, which most people thought they should just defend their own lands from. And there are various princesses with different kind of powers and attributes, but we'll kind of go into that. In the meantime, Catra gets the Force Captain promotion instead of Adora, because Adora's gone. Catra and Adora are raised by a very sinister woman called Shadow Weaver, who...
in the name there.
Who is, frankly, a horrible parent figure, who pit them against each other and clearly favoured Adora, and that's where a lot of Catra's issues come from. Yeah. But she also gains, as her kind of deputy lieutenant, a woman called Scorpia, who later turns out is a princess, but one from a family that went over to the Horde very early, who is just lovely, despite being part of something that's very clearly the evil Horde. So yeah.
It's about friendship.
That's true, yes.
It's a bit about fighting, but it's about friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having superpowers and not necessarily being confident in yourself or in your powers or in your friends sometimes.
Yes, there's a lot of interpersonal stuff as well as, like, obviously the overarching plot is, like, you know, the people of Eternia versus the evil Horde. So, you know, good versus evil, but then they're kind of like more layers to it as the series go through.
I think one of the standout things between the new one and the reboot and the old one is that it actually has arcing story and progression. Because obviously the original was there to sell the toys, so it was more about showing what cool things the current Vogue toy could do against the evil bad guys, and that was about it. Whereas we're leaning into more of a more modern storytelling where actually things happen, characters change.
There are consequences
of decisions.
Personal ones, and people fall out and get really pissed off at each other, but they still have to, you know.
Yeah, things, you know, and which makes it a little bit more nuanced and you know, a bit more interesting for an adult to watch. Let's remember it's primarily aimed at children.
Yeah, our son's a bit young for it. I did try to show an episode, but he didn't actually seem that bothered. But he's a little on the young side, so. I mean, it's like other things I tried to show him that were a bit older.
Yeah, I mean, it is a children's show, but.
But it doesn't feel quite like it feels like it's a bit older than like My Little Pony, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it feels it's as I say, it's one of the modern style children's shows where adults can get plenty out of it as well. Without it being dumbed down to just being woo, shiny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yes. So one thing I thought we'd talk about is the characters, because that is, as we kind of said, a big thing in the show and a strong part of it. So obviously, you've got Adora. One of the things that Adora's dealing with in the first series is the fact that she's been kind of basically indoctrinated by her upbringing. And she goes outside that. So when she first meets some of the other characters, who they take her prisoner for a little bit.
They do take her prisoner. You have the prison.
Yeah.
No, you have the prison.
No, that's later. Oh, with the cushions.
Of the cushions, yes.
I think that's later when they have a slightly more bad character who's a bit like, is this a prison? No, because Brightman's very nice. But no, they take it, and basically they're at this. What I will say about the way the show is so Eternia has like lots of different people on it. So like I said, Catra's kind of like, you know, a cat. Adora just looks human. A lot of the characters look what you call human, but a lot of them are like different colours. Some of which you'd find in our reality, some of which you wouldn't. Her mum's kind of a purpley blue colour, isn't she?
Yeah. I mean, she's also got wings.
She also got wings. But then there are mushroom people. There are like satyr people. There are people based on various animals. There were those lizard people that when you get to the desert.
People, yes.
Scorpia is a tall, broad-shouldered lady with scorpion claws and a stinging tail. So you know, and no one really kind of comments on that particularly. It's just, you know, how things are. So that's nice. The other thing that's nice is with the character designs, because I mean it's cool. So the full title of the program is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So you've got kind of like the sort of three main sort of characters on the good side, and then you've got a couple of main baddies. But everyone looks different. It's really good character design because it's not like you've got a load of people who all look roughly the same, but they have a different outfit and a different hair colour, maybe a different skin colour. They actually all, there's a lot of different shapes and sizes, as well as hair and skin colour and stuff like that. Which is nice because recently we had a sort of Marvel Comics based colouring book that which was very cheap, and I bought for Dave back in like 2007 or something. No, 2008.
It was a while ago.
It was published in 2006 anyway, but and so you have like X-Men, and there was a section with various X-Men characters, and they had two women, which was actually the most that any team in this book had. But they all look the same. Like if you look at it, it's like, well, depending on which colour I do the skin, hair, and costume of this woman, it could be like almost any of the female X-Men. Because it was all just like, this is the shape a lady is, and it's like, well, I mean, one person has slightly different hair to the other, but it's just like everyone look kind of the same. It's like, just paint whichever one you want. Whereas, you know, in She-Ra, you've got lots of different character designs, so that's good. Because, you know, that's how people are, we're not all the same shape or size or colour, aren't we? So, yeah, so that's nice. But, so Adora, right, I need to re-thread a needle now. So Adora, so she's kind of taken prisoner by people she thinks are enemies, but starting to realize aren't. But they end up being in this settlement that she had heard was going to be attacked, but hadn't realised was occupied. And that's when she starts to realise that maybe her superiors are evil. And she, but somebody has a party. And she's there going, I've never been to a party. And then Bo's just like, well, what about your birthday? She's like, we don't have those. And he's like, how is your life so tragic? And this is the thing, Adora's gone from this very, like, industrial, non-natural, kind of mechanised sort of environment to these people who are living in a nice little village in some woods. And you have parties and things. And then also, one of the characters we haven't mentioned, admittedly, is Swiftwind. So Adora sees a horse, and it's like, what is that? It's so majestic. And she's never seen a horse before, and she's just like, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's like, oh no, I can't meet it. And then I can't remember the exact thing of it, but the horse ends up absorbing some of her power when she turns into She-Ra. And then the horse grows wings and has a beautiful, colourful mane and can talk, and he's called Swiftwind. And he's not actually in the first season that much. He sort of appears later after having gone on a spree of like releasing other horses, but sort of a side plot. But he's in it later. But Swiftwind's quite fun because he's reasonably sassy when he's about. But yeah. So Adora's quite a good character because she's this person who's kind of overcoming indoctrination and actually being somewhere where people are quite pleasant to you and things are nice. You're not having to constantly vie for positions and stuff like that. Any character you want to talk about?
We could go with the most complicated one of all.
If you want to.
Which is Catra. She's so complicated. It's I think very much it's showing someone who is
was had the same nasty upbringing as Adora, but almost possibly slightly worse.
But she's the what? She's not the golden girl. You know, she's the one that's been put down upon, and every time anyone wants to do anything nice for her,
other than Dora,
yeah, she kind of sees it as a weakness, and it's the only thing she can think of actually, you know, gaining more power and more. And that's really her. In some respects, it's what she drives her most. It's just she wants more power to.
Yeah, but it's not so much power as security.
Yeah. Because
hierarchy and power in where she was grown up is security, and she doesn't have the kind of pleasant influence of meeting Glimmer and Bro that Adora does, and she so nearly goes with Adora and then doesn't, and that's kind of the split in the whole program.
But yeah, she's a. Yeah, driving kind of the driving force in the opposite side, the
antagonist.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You and your fancy words. I mean, you've got so the Horde is run by Hordak,
he's a vampire-looking guy.
Yeah. And
kind of vampire-y, and
yeah,
also mechanical.
But he seems to be too wrapped up in his own projects to pay attention. So ends up you know farming out most of the to minions like Catras.
Well, Shadow Weaver most, I suppose.
No, and Shadow Weaver to start with, but I'm entirely lost where I was going looking at parts. This is the only trouble with doing this one. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this is the whole premise, so we're going to have to work with that.
Do you know how many games to which these not because I was talking?
Anyway, yeah, I think the thing is, I mean, even the worst characters are enjoyable. In fact, I say even Hordak gets his.
Yeah, a bit
becomes sympathetic.
Yeah, sort of. That was kind of unexpected. It's like, this is surprisingly wholesome. I don't know why, because this guy is really evil.
I think there's only one character in the entirety of it that you're not supposed to like at all.
That's reasonable. That guy's a jerk.
Yeah, and you know, but if all the others, it's like, well, they're flawed, usually just flawed people. They've got goals, but you might not agree with them. But
yeah, and I mean, also, it's not like I don't know how it was in these editions. It's not like there's a battle every week and then the good guys always win, but then the bad guys come back in a different way. Quite often, the good guys are actually losing. There's a lot of like losing ground, a lot of like, oh no, it's kind of a bit of a rearguard action at various points. So yes. Of main characters, I think. So there's Glimmer and Bow. Do you have a favourite of those? Or?
Well, I'm you know, Bow's kind of you know, as the.
Bow's the token main male character.
I mean,
there are.
Seahawk comes into it
I'd
later.
say he's a supporting character.
Anyway, yeah, but Bow's your you know, and one a main character who does not have any powers.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. He's like it's a bit. Well, this isn't actually an appropriate thing really, but it's kind of like Xander, I guess. Is like he's the one that doesn't have any powers. Because there is a point early on where I think there's something about princesses, and both like everyone we know is a princess. But yeah.
But he's still able to. He finds his.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not like this is the thing. Bo seems to be completely without, sort of posturing, sort of stuff. He's cinnamon roll. He's really enthusiastic about stuff. So he loves archery and he loves tech.
He loves heart-shaped stuff.
He likes having his midriff there.
Yeah.
That's more a character design thing, and I assume it's based off of something from the original.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, so he does, you know, and he does some strategizing. Glimmer does some strategizing.
Very much the tech person.
Yeah, but yeah, he's the tech person, also the archery guy. In sort of like, think of some of the silly Hawkeye stuff and stuff like that, but cartoon. But he's just really excited. So he's the one who calls them the best friend squad. Unironically, he's just really like that, and it's like, oh, that's lovely. So yeah, he's just like really positive all the time, and just wants people to get on. Which is not to say he doesn't have his moments where stuff goes wrong, or like it turns out he'd been sort of low-key deceiving various people about different parts of his life for quite a long time. But that was a very funny episode. So
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he's pretty good. And then there's Glimmer, who initially when we first meet is kind of in a bit of a, because her mother's the queen and is an immortal angelic being, and Glimmer's, you know, most characters are quite young, but there's some variation in ages. Who's like in her mother's shadow, and she's trying to fight and lead the fighting, and you know, do strategy and get other people involved. Her mother's just like, no, I kind of just want you to be safe. And she's like, but Mum, I can't do anything. She and Bo are best friends. She tends to be a bit like, you know, about her mother, but then she does mature a lot over the course of the programme, and has a few ups and downs in who she's trusting, who she's got around her. But yeah, her and Bo are best friends. They bring Adora in. They both kind of like, not quite, well, I suppose kind of rehabilitate Adora, just sort of show there's a way of living where people can be pleasant and lovely to each other, even as they're all fighting for stuff. So, yeah. So, yeah, Glimmer's quite a good character as well, because I think she's the one that really matures quite a bit. Because Adora's kind of coming out of being a thing where you had to be quite mature to survive, and Glimmer's kind of going from being a child to being a young woman, wanting to define herself quite a bit, in the context of also a war that's happening. Because obviously all of this is kind of like, they're still fighting the Horde. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of the main 4 characters. And then there's...
The Princesses of Power.
Yeah, there are princesses. There's Scorpia, who, as I mentioned, is... Scorpia is another Cinderella character who's just, like, really enthusiastic. She's not very bright, but she's very keen, and she decides straight away when she meets Catcher that they're going to be the very best of friends. And Catcher is a prickly, grumpy individual who doesn't like too much attention on his feelings, and has a tendency to just lash out at other people. And Scorpio, it seems, almost completely oblivious to this, to a point where it starts to become a little bit concerning. You're like, oh no! But then she again finds a way. But she's just, it's interesting actually, because she's a tall woman. She's got quite broad shoulders. She has pincers. She has a scorpion tail. But then when there's an episode of the first season when everyone goes to the ball, and she gets really nicely dressed up, and you're like, oh no, she's actually pretty fancy looking and stuff. So that's nice. I think everyone gets a chance to kind of get all dressed up and stuff. But yeah, and whenever Scorpio, she's again kind of like Bo, but perhaps a little bit more so. She's just really enthusiastic. So whenever anything kind of like puts her down, or is a bit like, you know, considering she's wants to be best friends with somebody who's constantly putting her down.
Hang on a second. No, Kate, there won't be She-Ra spoilers.
No, we're going to try and keep it spoiler light. We probably should have said that at the beginning, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we're not mentioning anything that's...
We kind of mention the first series and general thoughts. We should get better at this, we should remember. But yes.
Why people can send comments and I can reply.
Yeah. But yes, she's, like, Catch will lash out at her verbally, and she'll just be a bit like, oh, I must try harder to be her friend and do what she wants done. And she's not the brightest, Penny, but she's just really good. And also, she has, like, a poison stinging tail, so I guess she's quite useful.
I wouldn't argue with her.
No. I think there's a bit, actually, when Entraptor is examining her for the first time, and he's like, you must not touch another woman's tail without her permission. I'm like, that's actually a very reasonable boundary, and absolutely you should not do that.
That sounds fair to me.
So yeah, Entraptor's one of the, I guess, supporting characters. She's quite interesting, because she's, like, the main one who kind of has early on, so her morality is kind of a bit, okay, well, how would you describe her? I don't think it's that she thinks things are wrong, she's just interested in stuff.
She oh, excuse me. Again, she likes technology. She likes experimenting with technology.
For science.
For science. And small food.
Tiny food.
So she's kind of very wrapped up in that.
And not in people.
Yeah, she's not, and you know, I'm sure people, there's plenty of people that will give, say, what part of the spectrum she was on or whatever, but I think she's just absorbed in what she does.
Well, Noah Stevenson, who's the showrunner, said that they had actually got a woman on the crew who was autistic, and they'd sort of consulted with her a lot about Raptor's character. So I think it was something fairly intense.
That's fair enough. I'm just going to say it's.
I mean, I can't really comment too much on that, but
I think she's just grown up. Her technology is.
She has a lot of robots. She has one called Emily.
Yes.
She has a lot of robots. She wants to find out about things. She wants to know about tech. It turns out that the bad guys are also quite keen on finding that sort of stuff out. And also because she's not very aware of people, that's not her strong point, then it can be quite easy, I think, to manipulate her.
She's just, to start with, she's interested in the technology and what she can do with it, what she can make out of it, and the idea that, you know, what you do has an impact on other people. Doesn't
also, just because you can do something, I don't think she actually learns it just because you can do something you shouldn't. But I think people are a bit maybe think about how you're doing it first.
Yeah,
yeah.
So she's a. I mean, she's also one of the princesses that doesn't act. She's not a princess. She doesn't have a crystal.
Okay. Yeah, the stuff to do with crystals. So each princess kind of has a crystal, and it turns out they have stuff to do with how the planet works. That's kind of quite plot stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, she's really, you know, she's got a lot of technology.
She's kind of like a mad scientist, basically.
Basically,
right.
In any other show, she'd be you should be a guy, and you're not really.
It's Princess of Power.
Yeah, I know, but it's Doc Brown, and you know.
Very much that kind. He seemed a little bit more concerned about the ethics of what he was doing, though. He told Marty not to tell him what happens in the past. You know.
He also.
I suppose he did also buy
uranium off
from
Libyans. So
terrorists. So.
You know, you're you know, again, just because you
geopolitical stuff, time and space.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so his boundaries were, I'm not going to have you destroy space-time, but I'll still buy nuclear fissionable materials off the Libyans.
And then try and trick them somehow, I think.
I don't think he thought that far. I thought he was just planning not to be there when they turned up.
Anyway,
if you got a time machine.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, and then I suppose of the kind of good guy princesses who kind of ground good ones, there's Mimista, who's based on the sea, and her kind of sidekick. He kind of acts like they're really good friends, or maybe a couple, and she's just really irritated by him. There's a guy called Seahawk, who
Adventure,
who has an amazing mustache and is hired to as a ship captain, and then it turned out he'd lost a lot of ships because they all caught fire. And he's just very gung ho and a bit more I guess seems traditionally masculine, but is also super enthusiastic. So at one point, Bo's just really enthusiastic about this guy's mustache, and then he's just like, yes. And he does actually care about Mimista, but is also obviously super irritating. So, you know, but yes, his main thing is adventure.
He's more than just a tagline. Thankfully,
he is more just that.
The first time he turns up, certainly you think he does seem a
bit one note, but most of them just develop over
yeah,
time.
but you definitely get a bit more, and certainly the later series, he's become a lot more of a interesting. Yeah,
so Miss is kind of like a sea princess, and she can kind of turn into a mermaid and control water. She's voiced by Bella Lavelle. I think that's how you say that. It's always a fun word. Bella Lavelle. It's quite a fun name. Anyway, who, if anyone's watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, played Heather, and she does do that sort of so I can't do the voice, but she has a very distinctive voice because she's quite often sounding very world weary and fed up stuff. Well, it's not always necessarily meaning it. Then there's Perfumer, who is a flower princess,
kind of in the name there.
A massive hippie. She does plants, and she seems to have a lot of hippie sort of friends around. But then the thing is, she seems very she was just. But then if she gets pissed off, she's like, I hate cactuses.
To be fair, I think there's a whole section of Eternia that's mostly filled with hippies. But
well, that's where she lives. There's Froster, who's younger than the others. She's actually obviously pre-teen, whereas the others seem to be late teenage, early 20s, maybe. I'm not sure. It's a children's program. I'm sure how old people are. They're supposed to be a little bit older than the target audience. At least that's the traditional thing. And she varies because at first she hosts a ball and she seems very cold. She does ice powers. In case it wasn't clear from the name. Frost seems very cold and she seems very self-possessed, considering she's obviously a very young ruler of her kingdom. Princessdom? Country? We'll say country. Nation, whatever they are. But then actually, she kind of joins up in the later series, she seems a little bit more eager to please. Gets involved.
Perfumer kind of, I'm just... plant druid would be, yes, not quite animals, just all about the plants.
Yeah, just plants. Yeah.
All about the plants.
Yeah.
Froster's not quite a frost mage. Kind of a lot, but kind of closer to Iceman from X-Men.
Yes.
With the punchy fists and the ice slides and the.
Yeah, it's very kind of big jagged ice.
Stuff, so you know that's a more. But yeah, certainly that kind of.
So there's those guys, and then there's also there's Queen Angela, who is Plymouth Milgram, kind of runs things initially from her because she's the queen. I'm assuming it's kind of like you kind of got like princesses and then queens. It's kind of like a warlord and high king type arrangement.
You don't really get an idea of the structure of because
everyone's fighting against the horse.
Yeah, but you don't.
It's not clear what it was like before.
But obviously, you don't ever see. So none of the other princesses you ever see parents for.
No.
You don't know whether they were actually.
It's a children's program. Take parents. You only need a couple, like a good one and a bad one.
Yes, but
contrast, like good mummy, bad mummy.
But you don't,
or bad.
So you see that Froster's the ruler of her.
Yes, and she's quite young. You sort of seen the Horde have taken a lot of people out, and so that's why everyone's a bit like gun shy initially.
But there's only one queen. But even possibly Bright Moon is kind of considered the
central place.
Yeah, you just have royalty in Bright Moon.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't really think about that much, which shows you kind of how good the program is. That's the kind of thing I normally think about a bit with things. Like when I watch Frozen, I'm like, this is a constitutional crisis. Why is no one prepared for this better in Arendelle? But yeah, I didn't really think about that, She-Ra. So obviously captivated enough.
Well, yeah, it's just you. Yeah, I mean, you don't miss it. You don't need to. But it's one of those. Yeah.
And then there's kind of like even more, I guess, tertiary characters, which is Spinnerella and Netossa, who have to kind of partway through the thing remind us who they are, because it's like we always forget our names, but they're a couple who one does spinny things and one tosses nets. It's kind of the name, but yes, again, kind of they're very much kind of
the 80s naming conventions there.
I like the way it's a bit like, why do I always forget my name? It's literally what I do. It's my power. But I think the point is that they were kind of in the background at meetings while other people were being recruited, so we focused on the people that were being recruited. And then they were just like, they were the people who are already here. And then, like, towards the end of the first series, they're like, yeah, you need to actually, like, we are people who are here. But no, they're good, because again, they develop a little bit over the series, but again, always a bit more backgroundy. But that's, yeah, they're good. So, yeah, it's, let's see. And then there's various characters turn up for perhaps a few episodes as well, both good and bad ones, or good guys and bad guys kind of thing. But again, so there's Double Trouble, who,
yeah,
and it's interesting. There's Huntara, who's a character who's she's very tough and very, like, in the wilderness, and very, like, muscular and sort of, like, fighty. And she's voiced by Gina Davis. And I was like, oh, Gina Davis is in this episode, so that's quite fun. But yeah, so, yeah, because it goes to different parts of the planet to sort of, like, sort out various things, and yeah. Oh, there's also Madame Raz, who's a slightly odd old lady who seems to have lived a long time and can sort of see through time. It's a bit like that woman from Farscape.
Which one?
The one with the extra eye. The weird lady.
Yeah, a later series. I can't now remember her name now.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's not helpful.
I saw a friend of ours who's been watching that on Facebook made that comparison. I was like, oh yeah, that lady from Farscape. But yeah, she's like this mystical figure who adores, because basically, so there's a lot of, obviously there's current stuff, but there's a lot of stuff with, like, so Adora becomes She-Ra, who was a mythical figure up until she became it. And the fact that she's She-Ra kind of helped her be accepted in, the lives and society of these people who she was previously, fighting. Although she just have to prove herself a bit. But there's a lot of, like, lore and history, and in some cases very ancient history about She-Ra, and also people called the First Ones who were on the planet before. So, there's quite a lot of, like, backgroundy stuff in there, as well as the current fight.
For something that starts off seeming very fantasy-based, it's very sci-fi.
That's true, actually, yeah.
It's very...
It's kind of true of the thing I'm reading at the moment as well. It's like, oh, okay.
Kate, yes, you should watch Farscape. Farscape is awesome.
It's very strange.
We'll most likely cover Farscape at another time. It is very strange.
It's very strange. And you watch it like, why is everything else so bland? Because this was so strange. Yeah.
But yes... But anyway, yes, it's a combination, definitely a combination fantasy science fiction show. In that
it's mostly kind of like fantasy, though, I think.
Yeah, which works. I mean, it's. I mean, most of these things end up being, in a lot of fantasy worlds, you have the ancient ones, who went before with higher levels of technology and.
But then it can be sci-fi as well, though, can't it?
Yes.
Depends on how the technology works. And...
So.
Although it's back to that old Clark thing, was it any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic? So. But yes. So yeah, I think it's hopefully clear that we like She-Ra and would recommend it to people if you get the opportunity to see it. Obviously, it's most for people who probably are fine watching cartoons. But
yeah,
if you are fine watching cartoons, it's well, I didn't mention that at the beginning.
4, 5 series.
I can't remember 4 or 5. Netflix is this thing where they'll have like quite a short series of one of these cartoons, and then like some months later, like they'll have another one. So like I say, it first came out in like 2018, but there's been 4 or 5 series since then, and also because you can binge them bit or a lot if you want to.
It's very very bingeable.
Yeah, because they're not too long as well.
It's very wholesome. But
yes. It's wholesome, but not twee or saccharine.
Yeah, it's as I say,
like there's emotional consequences for people doing stuff. Like characters will be pissed off at each other and have to kind of like work it out. But people do.
It's very enjoyable.
Yes.
Well worth a watch.
Flying talking horse.
Flying talking horse.
Lady with a big sword.
Yeah. It resolves well. Not saying how, but it's definitely has a satisfactory.
But they up the stakes.
Yeah, but they have finished it, so they won't be getting any more.
Thing. But then again, it's a completely thing. Some of the stuff starts, and I'm like, this, and they're like, we've cancelled it. You're like, but what? No.
Yes, it's
not that. It's not one of those.
No, it's got a satisfactory ending. I
think that's why I thought it'd be good to talk about, because it's kind of finished reasonably recently. So people may have started it, or they might kind of be aware of it. But like people might still be fresh off of it finishing.
So well worth a watch. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we've not really talked. I think we've just talked about it rather than.
Yeah.
That's all right. So who's your favourite character? Hang on, put on the spot
it's tricky.
Now. And then she's going to ask me, and I'm going to look.
Well, yeah. If you ask a question, you need to come up with your own answer, don't you?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's Bo.
I would say the same.
Oh, okay. He's just so bloody pleasant. And I mean, it's not like there are times when he gets properly angry. Like it's something like Wounds of Hidden. He is properly angry, and there's points when him and some characters do fall out. There's stuff like he's like, so and so invited me to this thing, and he doesn't think his other friend's going to be upset about that. Because he's like, we're all friends. I've been invited to this thing. I go thing, and I think if he'd known, he would absolutely have done something about it. But yeah, he's just really good. And then he's trying to get his tech working, but he's not entrapped, so he's kind of having to do it without some sort of preternatural ability to do that. And he is the non-powered person, and he mostly seems kind of fairly simple. He's quite enthusiastic. He doesn't really have like a really complicated arc. He stays fairly stable throughout, but we find out more about him and his family. Yeah, his family is amazing. But yes, yeah,
I agree. I think Bo just kind of is. Yeah.
Isn't he also the running things in D&D themed episodes?
Yeah, I was going to say
they have a D&D themed episode, so they're doing a battle plan. But everyone has like tiny little miniatures of them, and then they do it. Quite a lot of this. Every so often, they'll do like a kind of slightly bottly standalone episode, or they'll do something. So they had something where people will like coming up with plans for stuff, and they'll come up and they all have a different animation style. Or like I think the D&D type episode, everyone had the outfits from the original series. They had different outfits, so.
Yeah, it is a.
But yeah, because like with Glimmer, you've got a history about her, but also about her parents and her father, and her family, because she's got an aunt. She's the main person, has a lot of family around. Whereas Bo, there's like one episode about his family, and they turn up later, which is a whole thing. And then but he's kind of just there and really steady and stable, and he's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Seahawk is also very good. Kate, yes, and then Swiftwind.
We've all said male characters though so far. Swiftwind is male. I mean, he's got a pink mane and tail, but
I mean, he is fabulous. To be fair, I think the problem is that I say problem. I use problem in the loosest sense of the word. They're all good characters. Even the bad guys are good. I mean,
Scorpia's pretty amazing too.
Scorpia is amazing
because she's kind of like Bo, but like a little less background, a little more oblivious, and a bit more enthusiastic. And it's kind of like, you sort of do, like, she's so enthusiastic, you're like, oh, that's lovely. And then, like, she's not treated well, and you're like, oh, but why?
She wears her heart on her claw.
She does. She does wear a heart on her claws.
Yeah. So yeah, it's difficult to really hate a lot of the characters. Most of them are, you know, they're very, they are good characters.
Yeah.
So I think we said it ended well, which I think sort of is a good selling point.
So I think main writer or showrunner or something for it is one called Noelle Stevenson, who also did these comics. So this is one called Nimona, which is, I think, the standalone series that she did, which is, I think this was a webcomic actually, and it was published. It's like, cool.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, which is kind of like, you've got, and you can sort of see shades of like some of this sort of stuff. I think in this first series of She-Ra, when I've read this, I was like, oh, okay, I can't see. But yeah, she'd done, it's about kind of like a supervillain and his shape-shifting sidekick. And it's weird because there's kind of like technology in this, but also people are like knights and have armor and stuff. And then there's also, she is co-creator of Lumberjanes, which is basically, this is the first one. And it's basically about a group of girls who go to like one of those like American style sort of holiday camps in the woods and do kind of Girl Guidey type activities in like a weird creepy forest in which a lot of strange shit goes down. So yeah, those are good as well. But yeah, you can sort of see some stuff in the writing. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a thing that this writer has done in other things. So yeah,
check those out.
Yes.
They are also not available for your local library, but again, we might abuse my powers on that one. If I can come up with good reasoning. What else?
I think that's all the stuff I sort of thought we'd definitely talk about.
I think, yeah, if we like it, you should like it, watch it.
Oh, we need to show people our progress in what we are doing.
I have made my Terminator sorcerer. He's in 2 halves because I need to paint the back of the cloak, so he'll get put together later. I've also made 4 bodies for the rest of them. I mean, that's not so exciting, to be fair. So yes, that's good progress on that. I will continue those later.
So I have, as I planned, so more of my swan. So there's the swan there, and I've
hello,
sewn,
Mr. Mantle.
And I've sewn from there to, where have I got to? About kind of there-ish. So that's like the bottom and up the tail a bit. So yeah, I never actually thought how long it takes me to do this before. I just kind of do it. But yeah, so I mean, this one will be down fairly soon. I do have a beak cut out for this one, which is probably too small to see. It's a beak anyway. Because I cut this one out a while ago and I just only started sewing it. But I was looking at some pictures of swans recently. They have like black bits on their faces, which I kind of know. And I'm like, oh, how am I supposed to? I didn't cut anything out, so presumably I thought I was going to just sew it on. So I'm going to have to figure that out at some point.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how we go. I'm trying to mostly do it with sewing.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you think I'd know better with swans since I come from Worcester and like
yeah,
swans are kind of our thing there. But yeah,
I thought also cathedral and flooding
and the source
and a river.
Well, yeah, that's with the flooding. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of places have. Well, a lot of places have all of those things except for Worcestershire source.
Okay.
but it's just parts of the city centre get like. Well, they used to get overtaken by swans. I haven't really visited there in quite a while because my parents live a bit outside the city. But yeah, there's a statue of a swan somewhere.
Really
the university's symbol has swans on it. So yeah, but yeah. So I think that's sort of.
So was that everything?
Yeah, I think so.
We were going to stick this to an hour because otherwise we'd ramble. You
might have noticed we already sort of did that.
Yeah. So
it's our first time. We'll get better.
Yeah. So if you've come in late, this will obviously be archived onto Facebook, so you can watch what we were rambling on at the start.
And quite possibly also like YouTube as well.
YouTube at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
Where exactly,
out.
And we will return in 2 weeks' time to do more talking about. Have we planned that far ahead?
No, we haven't decided. I think we need to discuss that.
Okay.
We'll announce it online.
Yeah, we'll say something online. So, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for watching. And
I've just realised that there are like 2 pictures of people's faces up at the corner.
Oh, okay. Yes. I saw it flashed up before, but you know better about this sort of thing.
It's the
technical person.
first time I've actually done anything live. despite the fact I live stream every week, I never do it actually live through this.
Really?
I do it through streaming software and the magic of technology.
Oh, but this peek behind the curtains just ruined our illusions.
Ruined whose illusions?
I don't know.
We're live.
I meant more like for the stuff you're saying you do streaming software for all your work stuff.
But how many of the wonderful people, lovely people that are sitting watching us now also watch my live stream story times?
I don't know. Some of them might do. I occasionally share them.
Okay. Well, thank you if you do watch my live stream story times. I really appreciate it.
We do story time sessions in lockdown because their libraries are open, so those are available. Posted on library Facebook pages.
Yeah, not so much mine.
We have to get away from work sometimes.
But you can watch wonderful stuff from around Birmingham libraries, reading a range of stories for your entertainment. Picture books, though, so
Kind of kid stuff.
Your mileage may vary on that one. So, but they're very good. My colleagues are very good at what they do. You can also join in the summer reading challenge.
I thought you weren't being at work now.
It kind of just happens.
You should turn it off.
I can't. You know full well I can't.
This is true. I mean, at least it's libraries.
Yeah.
I've had a very long day at work today, in case anyone's bothered, because I kind of said, we'll do it on this day, and I didn't realise, there's a deadline coming up, and today ended up being very busy. But I was very busy today, so hopefully tomorrow won't be quite as busy, but there we go. Anyway, boring work stuff. Probably means we run out of stuff to say.
Well, so I'm just like, we're told to hold up today's newspaper. You do realise we haven't left the house to pick up a newspaper.
Where would I get a newspaper? Also, it's 2020. We don't have a physical newspaper.
Why would we do that? So, I mean, the only time we had newspaper in the house was when I was bringing home Mature Times to put in the bottom of the guinea pig cage.
That we've run out of that now, and that was from a while ago.
So
it's not an essential journey. We're not going to go get a newspaper.
No. Not when I can get the news off in much more reliable websites like Facebook. Yeah. Okay. No, unfortunately, we don't do live reading for adults. We have various copyright issues there.
I think publishers have been a bit more keen to say yes, have children's stuff because children need entertaining because they're all at home.
Adults not so much.
And well, I mean, you guys do the you and your colleagues at Search Library did some readings of audio only readings of Alice in Wonderland books and also Wind in the Willows, which again are children's books but aren't picture books and a little bit older.
Yeah.
And are also, I assume, out of copyright.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're definitely out of copyright. So yeah, if you want to listen to us mangle Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, and Wind in the Willows, those are available on Sturchley Library's Facebook page and Birmingham Community Library's SoundCloud.
I'm not going to plug the university because you know what. If you want to go to the university, go.
But yeah, that was interesting. Alice in Wonderland is a real pain to read. Have I mentioned this to you?
You'd mentioned a little bit.
The language is.
It was written quite a long time ago.
I know, but it's structured so awkwardly, and it's just the way. I mean, obviously, it's an odd book anyway.
That's like its whole thing. That's the charm of the whole thing.
But actually trying to read it, you don't know sometimes whether you're actually making a mistake
Normally
or
you just quote stuff, I suppose. You quote odd lines from it. Or it's got a lot of iconography and imagery around it, which a colleague of mine recently used for a big event. I was able to do single takes of. I was trying to do single takes of them all, which I managed, but I had more mistakes in the Alice ones than I did in Wind of the Willows because that was language. I think that's more recent.
Yeah, it would surprise me.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But the language is the sentence structure is more what you'd expect. So I was able to read it with no real problems.
Sure.
Again, odd story. It's a odd one. Again, we're thinking of doing Railway Children at some point as well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what you're going to do next. That was pretty awesome.
I'm hopefully getting a couple of books for Summer Reading Challenge to do. So again, you can listen to me.
Are you guys just reading books I had audio versions of as a child? Because we had Wind in the Willows and Railway Children.
No, I'm doing first chapter of Cosmic by Danny Cottrell Boys.
Oh, I don't.
And that's a new one. And Dave the Pigeon, I think that was the other one I got nominated for.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, have fun with that. That's coming soon, I guess.
Coming soon for Birmingham Libraries.
God. I shouldn't encourage you. Okay, maybe we should just wrap up.
Possibly we should wrap up before I no, it's wholesome. It's books.
That's true. It's wholesome books, and yes, it's fine to promote. Whereas my job's mostly admin, which is fine.
Support your local libraries. Support your local bookstores. Support your
You guys don't have a whole team's worth of people promoting stuff.
Support your local gaming store.
Support local businesses.
Support local
friends
businesses.
that have small businesses.
Support friends who have small
Buy their
businesses.
stuff through post if you can.
Yeah.
And museums. Support museums if they're not open, but a lot of them have merch. Okay, I think we've covered all the things I want to support without going too far into just naming all things that are probably worthwhile.
That's a lot of things to work on. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll say again.
That could be for a different time.
Another time where we shield for other people. Thank you all for watching,
Yes,
and we shall see you. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for more fun and discussions and randomly shilling for Birmingham libraries.
Okay, I don't think I agree. Okay, well, yes, thank you, and yes, stay safe out there.
And this is where I find out where the on-off button is on this. Hey! Bye-bye!